So, and then on a day where it wouldn't be Sully, then we go through our normal directing of like, all right, we're going to go meet with Shannon. What's going on with Shannon today? Oh, Shannon's performing surgery on a fish. He's what? So then, like, what is...
That's not even far-fetched. that's so believable.
It's absolutely the truth.
Hey guys, this is Benny Goodman and you're listening to 2020. I'm here with my comrades. Are you feeling loved today, Cory and Siobhán?
Feeling confused, as usual.
Confused by my enunciation.
All right, well, before you totally derail our intro, before anyone even listens, don't forget to subscribe. Like I've said always, 2020-d.com.
And we're super pumped to have back for part 2 our friend Jim Foster, the creative director for Red 13 Studios, music video director of reality TV.
He shot Godsmack for a month. That sounded crazy.
Yeah, he's got a pretty impressive resume, and if you haven't heard part 1, go back and check it out to kind of hear his backstory. But in this episode, we talk a little bit more about his creative process and how he goes about working on these insanely
Do you think he knows how to do operations on fish because of Shannon Larkin after filming it?
Well, that's just that's a little teaser of what you have to expect in this episode. It's this fish surgery.
I'm confused.
Fish surgery and all sorts of other fun things. So we'll get right into it. Here's part 2 with Jim Foster. Hello and welcome back to another episode of 2020. My name is Cory Peza here, as always, with Siobhán and Ben. And we're so glad to welcome back our friend Jim Foster, music video director and just video director in general, and founder of Red 13 Studios. Thank you for coming back.
Also directs the neuroticguitarist.com. Soon to be loving the fast lane.
Oh yeah, tell him about it, Benny. Tell him about it.
Why don't we give you the floor? Why don't you guys talk about the creation of the Neurotic Guitarist here?
From my point of view or from Ben's, because I never get to speak.
We only have an hour, so just yours. Yeah.
From my point of view, I personally wanted to do something to fuck around with guitars because I'm not playing that much, but Ben can attest to this, is a weird love for old wood guitars. Like there's something about the wood, it's weird.
We respect wood. It's a strange thing that only people who respect wood. And Jim, listen, Jim and I talk in nothing but reverb listings sometimes.
Any given day, me and Ben together probably burn 4 hours on reverb looking at the same bullshit, unaware of each other, for real. But so I just wanted to do it, and I figured like I had this different person in mind, and I'm not saying like I created the idea. It really did fall together, me and Ben together, like completely natural. But I talked about this other person I know that had a bunch of guitars, and his personality is kind of rough, but he doesn't get it at all. And it was like, that's just going to be a waste of my time. And the first time me and Ben just decided like, fuck around, it was literally like an hour with a camera. We made 20 stupid videos that were like 2 minutes or whatever. But immediately it was like, all right, this really stinks, but the idea, the catalyst, like the fuse that was lit is really cool, and it does the thing that we both love.
But to even downplay some of those videos, some of those first videos are still some of our best videos. Like Kemper, who we love, Kemper, they posted our video, and this is one of the very first videos we did, which I'm still very proud of because I agree with all the sentiment in it. It is as the video of the decade. And I was like, are you shitting me? And then Jackson Guitars, like this is another thing, like again, Jim and I aren't the greatest guitarists in the world. We always say it, we don't play it the best. But like when would Jackson Guitars give a shit about me? But they fucking posted me talking about the shit not even properly. And people were like, yay! And it's because Jim, and I appreciate this because he believed in me right from the beginning. He's like, this guy's a fucking mess. But if I could focus the mess in the right way and then capture said mess, maybe people will want to watch it. And it's funny because if you do the statistics of who watches it, it's like only Jewish white guys from 38 to 40 years old, men from like Hudson, Massachusetts. And it's like, oh, well, we know our fucking target audience. Well, yeah, because I appeal to me. And that's about it.
But to Ben's credit, like if you give Ben 3 minutes, he will tell a full story, a beginning, middle, and end. He understands the arc when he bullshits. Like, he might derail your conversation for no reason every once in a while, but when he means what he's saying, he's going to tell a story. And if you give him 20 minutes, well, he's going to do what a comic does actually and tell a story, and by the end of it, tie it all together with the one final line. It's like the punchline, and he has a natural way of doing that. And I was like, well, nobody else can do that. And it is something you learn. You know, we're learning. We're just fucking around, to be honest. But the reality is, like, we get the cool things happen. Like, we have cool guitars. Ben right now, today, dropped off Jason Becker's Numbers guitar with Nina Strauss. You know, she's on tour and playing with Alice Cooper.
Oh, I'm gonna grab one.
And she's gonna play the guitar, and Ben facilitated that. And, you know, that's actually epic, and it's gonna turn a few heads. But that's just one thing. Like, I don't know what he's going to get, but we have a bunch of Les Paul's guitars in the other room.
I was gonna say, well, it's funny because, you know, I'm gonna talk about this one. This is one of the last Les Pauls that Les Paul actually used. And it's funny because, well, it's not funny because I know what some people are thinking. Yeah, I changed the strings. I put the strings right here, and it sits on top of my desk. But yeah, this is Les Paul's last gold top Les Paul with all the customizations and all the crazy shit. And it's gotten to a point where, like, I don't want to say, like, we're spoiled and phased back to the phase thing. But, like, we are so lucky. Like, to think that Jim and I get to be like, okay, so we're going to go shoot Alice Cooper. In fact, Live Nation's going to shoot Alice Cooper for us instead because it's COVID. And Nina Strauss, one of the greatest living guitarists, is going to go on stage and just play the guitar. And she's going to actually say something to the crowd for Jason. Because the thing is with Jason Becker, and so everyone understands with the Neurotic Guitarist, is we've raised help with the people that we're involved with, help raise a lot of money, but we now want to raise more of awareness and bring attention to the story. And one of the things that Jason has made very clear is that he wants his guitars to continue to inspire and make music. So, like, I have the funnest job now. It's like, can I call and see if I could get it on stage with Alice Cooper? And we did. Thanks to Steve fucking Wood. Our British ambassador, Steve Wood, calls Alice's manager immediately and then talks to Tommy Henriksen, like the one other guitar player that we didn't know, not Ryan Roxy, the one not from Scotland, not Sweden or Sweden, Scott, something like that. And he was like, well, this is right up Nina Strauss's alley, as I knew it would be. And then Nina was like, yeah, tell him E flat. I'll play any fucking song because she loves Jason Becker. Jason Becker loves her. It's a love fest.
Did she say that though? Did she say, yeah, tell him E flat?
Yeah, she did. She said E flat.
All right, cool. So, but now I've got to get the fuck. So, but now, you know, cool little things are happening because there's like you know, if you wanted to go into that creative flow, once you get a couple of people on something mentally, you're starting to create things that never existed. And if you understand like real creativity and like, you know, you can call it magic, you can call, you know, you can bring up that Shannon Larkin devil shit or if you want, that is something you can control and guide. And, you know, if you're like-minded and you guys are on the same team and there's no bullshit involved, you can really do anything you want. It's really that simple. Like, look at the Beatles. That's how I know this works, you know. You just got to surround yourself with the right people and completely and quickly eliminate the ones that fuck it up.
Make sure Ringo Starr is the worst drummer in the band.
Yeah, how good you are doesn't matter. It's your attitude and what you bring to the team. I really believe that.
Yeah. No,
because it's been a hard day's night.
Well, no, that's great advice. And, you know, I want to continue talking about video and the creative process, but you're also obviously an entrepreneur in a lot of ways. You built a studio, you've hired people, you've known how to surround yourself with the right people. Is that something that you kind of always had an instinct for? Did you have any hard lessons to learn, or, you know, how did you understand who to surround yourself with, how to find the right people? I feel like that's difficult. I mean, everything sounds easy the way you describe it. You know, everything sounds like it just naturally, but
no, it was really bad for a long time. It really was. But here's the way I kind of put it. And for me, when I focus on music, I feel like my creativity is such a high level. It's unbelievable. Like I'm floating. And everything else in my life shits the bed. I'm old enough to know the loop and how it works. I'm very happy making music. Nothing honestly probably makes me happier. Everything else falls apart because I don't care about anything else when I'm writing and recording. I just don't care. And I don't want to stop, and I don't want to answer the phone, and I don't want to hear anyone's problems, and people in your life don't want to hear that. And they shouldn't have to hear it, but that's what happens to me when I do music. I fucking love it, and I'm just in. So I can't do it. So, but when I'm doing someone else's project, I'll work. I don't mind working 20 hours in a day, but when it's done, it's done, it's over. And that's a way different feeling. And that's more about time management and being an adult to me, not necessarily as fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still trying to figure out how to be an adult and manage my time. But
so, Jim, I'm very curious about something because you told me at one point that Tommy Lee said that you made the best meatballs. So my first question is, why have you never made me meatballs? And secondly, when did Tommy Lee judge your meatballs? And what, I guess, gives Tommy Lee the license to think that he should judge balls made of meat?
That's 3 questions.
Jesus, that's a lot to unpack, Ben, as you get ripped. A friend of mine's in the Motley Crue camp, Viggy, and I actually met him through Godsmack doing some of these backplate videos or whatever. And every time the crew would come, this was for many, many years, every time the crew would come to town, Viggy wanted to be paid that original time I worked with him in meatballs because he's just fucking giant of a man. And he's just like one of those bald, giant road dogs that you've seen on stage so many times before. But ever since then, the crew would come to town and be like, yo, Big Vig, I bring him an igloo cooler with a giant container of meatballs, some Parmesan cheese, a bottle of Red Hot, and a whole bunch of those sub hoagie rolls. And I drop it off. We shoot the shit for a little while. He gives me my passes. We go have a blast, and then we hang out or whatever. But this has happened forever. And then, yeah, I know Ben's looking at me like, yeah. So one time I dropped my meatballs off for fucking Paul and Gene because they were playing with Motley Crue too. Kiss was playing with them. So yeah, Paul and Gene, or Paul at the very least, I know for a fact enjoyed my meatballs.
I feel like that would be a Paul Stanley kind of thing to enjoy balls in his mouth.
Yeah, baby.
Is it hotter than hell in here?
Yeah. So that's the tale of the magic
in your igloo.
Meatballs.
Cooler.
Kind of a weird story.
Oh my God.
Kind of a weird show.
Yeah, it is a weird show. Well, and I wanted to ask, so in part 1, we kind of went sort of all over your career path, but we've kind of left a hole. You sort of started how you told us how you got started and, alluded to some of the bigger projects you've done recently. Maybe we can fill in some of the middle. At what point did you kind of get some of the bigger, more high profile projects in the video world? Like, was there something that you did or a video you produced that kind of led to another really big thing? I'm curious about that path for you.
Yeah, actually, it was pretty cool because a friend of mine, Dale Restaghini, who's actually from Framingham, the town I'm in now, I was actually born in Framingham. He is a legend music video director. He's got billions of views. I think he's at 4 or 5 billion views right now. He does high level hip hop videos and just insane amounts of metal videos. But randomly, I forget how he got my number. He called me up. I'm going to be in Framingham doing an Unearth video. I want to do it in your place. And it turned into me co-directing the Unearth video with him because he had to run. So I ended up, finishing it up for him after the shoot. And from there, he just started feeding me. I started writing treatments for some of the biggest videos in the world. I didn't necessarily get them, but doing that work at that level with all those people breathing down your neck like fucking crazy all the time. It is endless. It's so intense. It's absolutely awesome. But that I started making a bunch, like that video that we talked about that I made with Ben in it. That was a Dale video, Rage. And that kind of just...
By the way, just so everyone knows, it has, I want to say it's close to 20 million views just on that video. So, like, I joke around, but, like, Jim and I just fucking around, like, it's 20 million views. So, like, there's that. So, like, whether you love him or hate him, he's doing something.
So that was the catalyst, though. It was Rage, this hip hop director that's from my town. He lives in L.A. and Jersey, and he's just a badass. And he's been super supportive of me, and he still is. And it just was one of those little jump starts where, actually, come to think of it, I wanted to meet him because I knew what he was doing. So I was pretty intense in like sending him messages and just being like, those little kiss ass things like,
hey, you put him in your top 10 on MySpace?
I don't even know what the fuck that means. But so after a while, though, he was just like, all right, kid, what's going on? You got a space to film. And that kind of just started that off. But there was so many high level videos, and I wrote for him and did a lot of editing and some shoots. But it was all high levels, all, stuff that was labeled stuff in A or B bands. And that went for a couple of years, and I just couldn't take it anymore because I wasn't the boss. It's not that I care about being the boss, but I want to make sure things are done the way I want. I don't want my crew stressed out. I want everybody to have fun. There's a thing that happens on my crew. Everybody's always happy. If they're not, we really did something fucked, because I can't remember a shoot for the most part where everybody's not just having a blast, because it's too easy to do that. You should be having fun. You're there for a reason. So
without, you don't have to give any specifics, but can you give an example of the opposite of that and the issues you had working on the other productions?
Well, I worked with, Ben knows, a mutual friend of ours. I was kind of business partners in it, and it kind of was a catalyst for me starting all this stuff. We were doing some pretty cool stuff working with some high level bands, but the attitude was so off-putting that I can't. All right, like the way I put it is like, I have resting bitch face, and I might come off like a twat, but I'm not. Like inside, I'm like, this is really cool. So when I come against like a real twat, I can't fuck off. Like, I have no time for that. So that partner of mine, it was like oil and water, and that's when I made firm decision. Like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not working with people who suck.
But like, what about that process and doing the production was the issue?
If you can't find it in yourself to get along with someone so they can do a better job for this small amount of time, then you're not the right guy.
So it's just personality.
It's all personality. Yeah. That's what I was going back to earlier. Like, it doesn't matter if you're necessarily talented. If you like, I have some people on set that their
Kamal,
job is,
dude. Can we talk about Kamal? Because like, we have a guy.
Vibe. His job is vibe. He makes people happy.
So let me tell you what it was like. So first off, Kamal. So we were shooting The Neurotic Guitarist, our television show, which Jim has aptly and fucking brilliantly named Love in the Fast Lane. And we went out to Las Vegas to shoot the first episode, the pilot. And we stayed with Paul Geary and his house, our friend Paul Geary, who's been on the show, a manager extraordinaire. And, he has some unbelievable stories and great guitars. And it was just a fucking great place. And while Jim and Kamal were in the air, we weren't going to like be in imposition where we're like, hey, can they stay at your house? Despite the fact he lives in a porn like mansion, but we weren't going to ask. And like, he's in the air and he's like, wait, so Jim did the Godsmack thing. And then, Kamal. And the thing is that Kamal knows everybody. So while they were in air, Paul was like, no, you got to let them cancel your hotel room. Have them come stay here. And like, Kamal walks in and they have an adopted dog, a rescue dog that barks at everybody. And Kamal just walks in and he's like, I am friends with you, dog. And the dog like quiets down, like looks at him, and he like looks at the dog and it's like licking his hand. And you're just like, within like seconds, everyone's just totally at peace. The dog's at peace. I'm at peace. Like Paul, his wife Jean's just like, I don't know why. Who are you? And he's like, I love dogs.
Goodbye.
And that's just Kamal. And then it doesn't even matter that he can fucking shoot like a goddamn Jedi. He literally is just like, all is well in this world. Now, you can't be mad when you're in the room with him.
Yeah, that's where we come from. But we'll also be like, hey, why don't you go fuck yourself? So it's a fine line. You can, but we have a great crew. And, Kamal's a great example because he works for some of the notoriously most difficult rock stars in the world. And he doesn't.
Unbelievable, the people that seem to like him.
Yeah.
Like, you have Tom Schultz from Boston, which, look, I love Tom Schultz. He's a fucking hero of mine. But he's notorious, dare I say, fastidious. And, like, Kamal does something very technical, and I feel like knowing Tom Schultz and how technical he is and how technical he's always been, like, how could he possibly work for this guy for a long time? But Kamal's not only friends with him, he's friends with his wife. He takes like funny pictures, like they're buds, and it's like, how? And then like Godsmack, you know, like, look, I met Sully. He's like looked through my soul 16 times. Like, he's not the easiest guy to get along with. He's an amazing singer. He shits out hits. Like, I fucking, God bless that guy. Kamal is just like, oh, he's great. He's awesome to me. And he flies my dog on private planes. But really? And then Nuno, I love fucking Nuno. Nuno doesn't love me. But then I sent him a picture of Nuno fucking playing. He's like, oh yeah, when I was in Nuno's living room, that's his living room. I'm like, I was just there Wednesday. And I'm like, how?
All right. Yes, Kamal is a wonderful man. But that's the essence of the crew. The crew is designed to make the people in the production at ease. That's the whole point. Because we're capturing stuff, but it only comes down to emotion, feelings, being comfortable, or capturing shit that's real, or you're wasting your time. Everybody knows when something's awkward or fake. So that's, you gotta blend in, and that's what we do.
Yeah, that's got to be so much of the art. And, obviously we're on the audio side for the most part, but it's the same thing. It's when you're being produced in the studio. If you're being encouraged, or you've got a good vibe, or you're in the right headspace, you get a completely different product than if it's stress and craziness or whatever, so that's got to be a huge part of it too.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Imagine having a tough day on video while you're filming in the studio while they're having a tough day.
Oh my God.
I love when Anne-Marie, Siobhán's mom, comes to the studio, because she'll bring the dog. And then one of my favorite quotes ever is like, she was doing takes of something and we were layering things, and she's like, why won't you play a song all the way through? And she's like, Mom, this is not how it works. And I'm like, I can understand why you might be stressed right now. And like, meanwhile, I have cats. So the dog, I guess, was it appreciated? I love Pino. Super. And they actually surprisingly got along with the dog. So like Anne-Marie was just like, I told you. And I'm like, that's not okay though. But she came down and she was just like, why aren't you doing, and like Siobhán, poor Siobhán, was all stressed out. But if you're there, you wake up in the morning and give her some coffee. I have some coffee. We go downstairs. We wake up. She shits out excellence. Literally. She's just like, you'll be like, by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, she's like, are there any songs left on this record I need to do? And you're like, I guess not.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Great stories.
Well,
go ahead, Cory. Go
well,
ahead.
One of the things that I wanted to get into on this episode, and just to kind of get a little more of a peek behind your creative process. So when you get approached for a project, can you kind of go through, like, let's just say like a music video at a higher level? Like, what is like step one through the finished product for you, and like what's an average time frame for something like that?
I'll talk about what just happened with the Chris Daughtry stuff, because it's so fresh to me. But my producer, who's Glenn Mungo, who has Mungo Creative in Manhattan, he's the drummer for Lansdowne, and my partner is the guitar player in Lansdowne. So we do a lot of cross, jobbing, whatever you want to say. He was the producer on this, and he called. He said, I just got a call from the label, and they want a rock video. They wanted to have a live situation. He gave me the rundown of the video. For this particular video, there's no story, so it made it kind of easy. Each guy on my team has literally toured for years filming high level concerts. So this whole idea was just like no brainer for us personally. So we just went there. We did some work with the lighting director, because he did an amazing job of programming the lights for the video, which just made my job so much easier. And then from that point though, I mean, imagine you're going to work with like a top 50 artist, a dude that sold 10 million records, and management tells you get 3 hours with the entire band in the middle of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, that's cool. So as long as everyone's playing along, that 3 hours is going to be intense and awesome, and I don't care. So, and that's exactly what happened. We had to end at 5 o'clock because they were opening doors. I'm telling you, the last take was done rolling at 5 o'clock and 15 seconds. Like, it was unbelievable. But from there, part of this video, it was a rush job. The song actually dropped on Friday. I don't know what world we're in here, Marvel Universe, as far as
a couple weeks back.
Yeah. So, but the song dropped on Friday, which was 7 days
The
after
Friday from Nuno's birthday.
Yeah, exactly. 7 days after the shoot, which for a music video, and we were traveling, and we had to get it to color our colorist in New York City. So that left, I mean, saying that you have 3 days to edit a video at that level is like ridiculous. And it was actually incredibly easy because everybody grabbed everything. It was so well captured that it wasn't really an issue, but that's not typical. A lot of times you'll have a bunch of lead up where you have to rework your story with the artist, and you'll have to get different people involved on your team to do certain production bits. So, I have a few producers, so there's a lot of different shit that's just going on constantly. There's no one way to do it, really. It's always a little different.
Yeah. And generally, like, so for, like maybe more of like a narrative or storyline type of video, do you always start with like a treatment, or does the artist generally come in with their idea, or what's the percentage of your vision versus the artist for a video like that?
If the artist doesn't have a vision, I don't even want to do it. I really don't, because how can an artist not know what they want? I just find that to be fucked.
Do you run into that?
Yeah. And then that's why when you go to YouTube and you'll see there's tons of great directors that have average videos out there because the artist wasn't driving them to be great, or even more, like they just didn't. How is someone going to put their heart into something they had no idea, that they didn't envision? They couldn't go to bed and freak out over the night before. Like, that's all part of it. So I only like working with artists that truly, almost to an annoying level, want what they want, and they're not going to settle for anything. I like that. They're pains in the asses, but I really like it because that team vibe and the overall, like, always better. Always. Yeah.
But then can you blame them later? Like, if it sucks, you're like, well, yeah, you told me to get that fucking angle. It's your fucking fault.
Blame doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
No, you can't blame anyone in this business, because ultimately the artists, if something doesn't work, they take the hit. And sure, maybe the next time you won't get a job or something, but there's the blame. Like, you can't blame people. You either own up to it and fix it, or you don't do it again like that. That's all there is, Yeah, blame's tough.
It is. What's the standard edit look like for you in terms of turnaround? Like, what's your average kind of time?
I have 2 videos right now from an artist down in Alabama that I started over the summer, and the first video took like almost a month to edit, and then the second one probably took like 3 or 4 weeks. But this is going way back to what Siobhán was saying earlier, like time management. I might have only put in 16 hours on a certain week because I was just feeling it, those 16. And I'm telling you, I'll just walk away if I'm not feeling it, because I know I'm wasting my time, and I'm just gonna and then there's magic times where I'll do a whole bunch of work and I'm completely in such a zone that I come back the next time like, how the fuck did that get done? Like, I don't even remember doing it, and that's amazing.
Yeah, I totally relate to that. So if there's an instance where you're not feeling it, what do you do? Because I think for me, that's a hard thing to deal with, where it's like, I know that I have to get something done by a certain time, and I'm just really struggling through, I have this available block of hours and I'm not coming up with anything. How do you deal with that? Is there something you do to help spark the creativity, or how do you manage that?
Well, luckily I'll probably have something waiting that I will be feeling, as a general rule, there's enough. I'll have, because I'm doing media for my company as well, I'll have like photos or internal videos I have to put out. I'll have 6 music video clients. I'll have some like branding clients, and it's all of them need a little bit of time, and they're all so different that, there's
enough variation. Yeah, you can do something else.
Yeah, you can have a death metal video and then like a Tom Brady sneaker commercial. You know what I mean? Like, they're not the same. They take a different headspace.
So what about like deadlines? Like, is that a motivator for you? Like, if you can't step away, like, are you able to say, fuck, it's got to get done,
It's got to get done. It's got to get done. I will never stop until it's done, ever. Like, until I know that, let's say if I know I have 8 hours tomorrow, I will not stop until I know I have 8 hours of work that I could finish in that 8 hours, because the deadline's everything to me. I don't know why. It's the only thing that stresses me out. Fucking hate that.
That's fucking great. That's great, dude. So let me ask you this. When did you learn how to sing like an angel? Because I guess I never pictured it, but like, so again, I judge a lot of people by the music they don't release, but Jim sings cover songs, really high level. In fact, he does some holy territory. You sent me Seasons of Wither by Aerosmith, and you do a Steven Tyler that's so convincing that if you had told me it was like an actual bootleg of Aerosmith, other than the fact that like it's not as good as Aerosmith, like I would be like, that's fucking right. And then you sent me Fleetwood Mac, and I'm like, holy shit, this sounds fucking right on. When did you realize that you were like a vocal chameleon?
Well, I'm a vocal coach. I'm a vocal producer. I can bleh, and then I'll do whatever it takes to make bleh sound right. So you don't see me on the stage at the TD Garden singing Aerosmith songs, because it's not the same. Like, I can make myself sound any way I want, just like anybody can, but it's a whole nother thing to stand there in front of people and actually kill it like that,
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. But that's a really interesting skill to be able to hear, because you alluded to something, because you said anyone can, but not really. There are a lot of people who try to sing all their lives who can't sing. Nevertheless, like, nail early 70s Steven Tyler tone. Like, you actually do. Like, I give you credit. I think I even, I forget, I think I had played it for Paul Geary or something, and he was like, wow, like, surprised that like it actually sounded as authentic. And I think it's very interesting, especially as a producer, because I feel like the more you learn how to hear, the more you figure out how to replicate it yourself. So it's like the same thing like with my guitar tone. I could never play like Van Halen, but I can make my rhythm guitar for a second sound like Van Halen. And I feel like that's the skill. Do you feel like, but you say everyone can do it. So you think anyone could learn how to sing like Steven Tyler if you just try to blah enough?
Yeah, I do. Because that's not like singing like Freddie Mercury, you know what I mean? And no, obviously I'm being a little facetious, but Steven Tyler is
dream on, dude.
He has a sound in his voice. It's not necessarily some magical thing. He's born with that. Like, that's his sound. So there's nothing he can do about it. That's just the way he sings. So being Steven Tyler is no big deal. And if you want to copy him, it's like one of those weird comedian dudes that like copies fucking people's voices. It's the same skill. It's just it's being able to jump over.
It's like that guy really in high. Journey.
What guy?
The
Plays
guy
keyboard
from like,
on the wall.
No, the guy from like Thailand or wherever the fuck.
Oh yeah,
from,
exactly.
From Journey.
Exactly.
Yeah, and if you close your eyes, it's like it's open
Steve
arms.
Perry.
It's like Steve Perry. But if you open your eyes, you're like,
hey, what the fuck?
What is like it's really weird. It's like a deselect demo. It's like,
it looks like there was
a
wax. It was a wax Steve Perry that somebody put over near the heater. Like, it things out
right. Steve Cherry.
Yeah. But yeah, kind of. Like, some people are adept at copying. But to go back to what Benny said earlier, like, he mentioned like copying Van Halen. Fuck that. Like, there is a certain, when Ben plays guitar, there's a Ben way that anyone that knows his playing will be like, oh, that's a Ben way. Like, I go
Cory
for that.
Knows.
I go for that. Like, I consider myself pretty bad, but when I'm playing with the band, like, I got my shit together. Like, my groove is there. So I'm totally confident with that. It's my way. I'm not copying anybody. That's the important stuff. That really is. Who cares if, like, I say it for the 10th time, but who cares if you suck as long as you're cool doing it,
I mean, like Jimmy Page has been riding that to the bank for years, right?
Absolutely.
Everyone's like, boo, cancel him.
What?
Jimmy Page is the hackiest guitarist since Alex Lifeson.
All right, we're done.
We're done.
Well, speaking of having a voice, but let's take it back to the video realm. You know, what do you consider kind of your voice or your aesthetic when it comes to your videos? Is there something that's consistent across all projects, whether it's a style or an angle? And I apologize that I don't know enough about videography, but is there something that's kind of your signature when it comes to the projects you do in the video side?
I mean, if you're looking at all the videos, a lot of them tend to be vibrant and poppy and like sharp or whatever. There's a lot of funky colors. I don't know, really. That's not really on purpose. I guess that's like, if you look at some of my metal stuff, there's even the same weird colors in it. So I don't know. I guess it's like, I like modern poppy aesthetic, but I also like dirty camera work and I love modern, the stuff that's very modern, like modern B-roll and all these things that the kids are doing now. I fucking love it. So I try to put all those little things in there too, but it's weird. It's almost like being an old guy, like wearing like the Adidas jumpsuit to you know what I mean? It's like, there's something about it. Like, it's like a little disingenuous, but overall, I just want to be like crystal clear and poppy. I kind of like that modern look, you know?
So you mentioned the modern look. Like, what are you doing for inspiration? Like, where are you finding inspiration for different, ideas and ways to stay current? Are you just watching whatever's, the top in the charts at that moment?
You played me a badass Rammstein video the other day. That was fucking ridiculous. Dude, can we talk about that?
I honestly, if you want to talk about that, to me, I played him Rammstein's Deutschland video. It's the fucking greatest music video ever made.
Have you seen that, Cory?
It's fucking real.
I absolutely beg of you, of your time after this, to take the 9 minutes and 37 seconds, because it's that long. Because the credits are still better. The credits for this video are better than any video you've seen from any other band.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it is a movie. They made 300 into a music video, and then they expanded on it so hard. It's just fucking incredible. But yeah, good call on that one. That's a great way to put it. Like, I love that video so much that if I could, as far as music videos go, if I could rip that music video off every time with that production and stuff, I would be so happy. Yeah.
Well, because the thing is with that Rammstein video, so everyone knows, it's beautifully shot. It's shot in a super wide aspect ratio, where so people know, like, when your film is thinner with the black lines, like you see all those Star Wars films, and you're like, I want it thinner than George Lucas. That's like the Rammstein video, so it's already really thin, so it looks like it's professional. But the thing is that they go, and you don't know if it's done on a green screen, if it's done with a set, and it's like constantly going from so many different techniques, but it's beautiful shot, but the subject matter is so poignant that you don't even have to understand German, which to know what they mean with the song, which is very, very powerful video, because the subject matter is it's offensive to a lot of people, but like they're making a very powerful statement. But the other thing is too is that Rammstein is perfect music, that they're example that you could really do anything that looks awesome to their music and it's going to be fucking badass, because their production is so ridiculous that you could just have like explosions in time and it would be like, this is the best video ever.
Yeah. If you have an aesthetic and you have a great storyline and you have a daring band or artist who's willing to do wild shit but not be stupid about it, then you got something. You could very well have magic. But that video, to me, I mean, that sums it up. That's like the greatest to me. It's not really a music video though. It's a fucking movie. It is. Yeah.
How about Thriller? Is that a music video or is that a movie?
Yeah, it's a movie. I think it's a movie. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's corny as shit, but it's cool at the time.
Well,
it was always number 2 on MTV. Number 2. It was never number 1.
What was always number 1?
Well, I mean, because Kurt Cobain killed himself, it was Smells Like Teen Spirit for a few years. I mean, it changes because like everything that you see, like the greatest guitars of all time, and then all of a sudden it's like St. Vincent, which by the way, I love St. Vincent, so like she should be on a list. I made that up, but like it always changes. So like, how does it go from like Eddie Van Halen when he's dead to fucking Kurt Cobain when he's dead to like You know, it's just every year, and that's an opinion anyway. It's just subjective. So like, I don't give a flying fuck what anyone thinks anyway. Like, it will always be Yngwie Malmsteen's the greatest guitarist ever. So like, that's just the end of the story.
Well, Jim, let's get back to you. So what is the ideal project for you? Like what is your absolute favorite thing to work on? Because obviously you have a huge variety of projects that you do all the time. What's kind of your preference at the moment?
I like being on set, but I have a lot of reality TV things going on right now. And for some reason, that's pretty exciting. It's cool to envision an entire scenario and put, you know, all these little bits together. It's even better when you have people that want to play into those creatively and make little bits with it. For some reason right now, reality TV is really working. Multi-camera, story-based. Yeah.
What's your hard drive budget for those? Like, how much footage do you have on?
I had to go buy a hard drive today. It never stops. It's really I feel
it's
like
not even just about the hard drive space, because you get a 14 terabyte for $260 at Best Buy. It's about the speed now. It's about the fact like where you're sitting, well, because you know time is money, right? So when Jim's trying to transfer files from the A7 Mark 17 that we have, right? And he's like, we got the super fast card, but then you're limited by a 5400 spinner. He's like, dude, why do you have the SSD? And then it's like, if you look at a 14 terabyte SSD, first off, it doesn't exist. Secondly, like a 4 terabyte is like $8,000. You're like, why? And it's because it's this small, and it goes like, boop, done, bye.
Yeah, I have hundreds of hard drives. Yeah, for sure, I really do.
Oh my
so
God.
on a project like that, especially like, you know, you mentioned doing like the Godsmack reality show where you're shooting over months and months. What's the like organizational process on something like that?
It's fucking incredible. It's so incredible because when you'll have 2 or 3 shooters going through 2 or 3 cards with a card for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 lavaliers, and you might have 4 locations in a day, and you have to you can't do it then. You have to do it all at the end of the day, and then you have to wake up extra early, make sure those cards are cleared, those batteries are charged, and you're ready to like run around in like for Godsmack. It was in Southern Florida. I mean, it's 100 degrees every day.
Oh yeah. For sure.
So like, and this, you know, this might just be because I do video and I'm familiar just with the storage for Lost Symphony alone, and all the footage we got, you know, in studio is more than I ever want to deal with again. So this is why I'm like fascinated by this. When you are, you know, dumping your footage at the end of the day, like, do you already have notes on the files that you need to access, or like if something happened that was interesting, like, or is that something you have to sort through on the back end? Like, how do you organize that?
All right. I'm not joking when I say I actually keep that in my mind, but I think that's terrible because who's going to pick up that if I'm not around to fix it, you know? So that's terrible. But I do a lot of Frame.io. Have you ever used that?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So all the work is going back and forth on Frame.io, all the notes, even projects I'm loading on Frame.io.
For those of you that anyone listening or watching, it's basically like, it's kind of like a, I don't know, not because it's cloud based. Like you can share information on a project and make notes and story. You can do like storyboarding and things like that. And all, you know, you've used it probably more in depth than I have. But if you want to just for anyone listening, it's just a way to organize video production assets.
Wait, why aren't you using your iPhone like Kirk Hammett, where you can just like get all your riffs in one place?
I'm using Frame.io on my iPhone, but it uploads files 5 times quicker. It's like a FTP or whatever also. So, you know, if I have 200 gig at the end of a day and I really got to put it there because someone's got to get it in another place, that's kind of how I manage it. And then from there, any changes that get made, we'll throw our Adobe project files, our Premiere project files in there, and we share those. We can't do that unless everybody has all the same plugins and same programs, which we're lucky that they do. But so that's kind of how we facilitate teams doing bigger things, you know?
So let me ask you about reality. So filming a reality show, maybe we can use the Godsmack example. how much directing are you like what is the storyboarding process like for that? Because it's obviously kind of like a long format thing, and things might be changing if it's reality TV. How do you kind of project where you want it to go, or is there any level of coaching involved in, getting certain scenarios to happen? I'm just kind of curious about the behind the scenes of reality TV. What's that like?
Well, with the crew, we make everything a process that's repeated. It's just, these are like, the way Sully would put it, it's like film 101. Don't make me fucking say it again. So once the process is there, once it's done, like, don't deviate unless the situation makes you. So, if we're going to use Godsmack for a thing, nobody directs Sully. Sully is directing everything because he's first of all, he's really fucking smart. He's got a real great way of like compartmentalizing what's going to happen and how it should be pieced together. But that said, like, his personality, he's just going to be the boss, period. So you just learn, like, all right, but his ideas are so awesome that you just, at that point, you help him keep them on track. So, and then on a day where it wouldn't be Sully, then we go through our normal directing of like, all right, we're going to go meet with Shannon. What's going on with Shannon today? Oh, Shannon's performing surgery on a fish. He's what? So then, like, what is...
That's not even far-fetched. that's so believable. Like,
it's absolutely the truth.
I love him.
So
I love Shannon so much, man.
So that's the literal truth. But then you say, hey, all right, if that story is with Shannon, how can we have a beginning, middle, and end and tie that off? And then, you have to create the scenarios and have them fall into it. And I'm not going to bullshit. Like, if something funny happens...
Hold on a second. I'm thinking about this.
Okay, wait, before Ben interrupts, finish what you're saying.
If we can make something better, like something happened, but it was a catalyst for like, ha, that was awesome. Do it again. You'll usually get it better the second time. And it's not like it's 1972 and you're in Steely Dan and you're a fucking loser if you didn't play that drum all the way through. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
We're not at that level. So that's kind of what I wanted to say is like, that's when you go direct. That's when you think of the future. That's when you make sure the story's being told before you shut it down.
Cool. Sorry, Ben. You can go ahead. Just want to get that thought out.
Well, I had a very interesting question based on what you were saying. So Shannon performed surgery on a fish. Did he do that because of timing, out of economic need, because there was no veterinarian that could handle a fish with the problem it had? Or is a veterinarian even the right term for fish? Like, how is Shannon performing surgery? Why is it him?
I can tell you he didn't take it lightly. It's not like he was trying to be a jackass.
I know. I'm just saying, was he the one that was like, because he's like, dude, nobody knows how to deal with this type of koi fish in this part of the world.
Right. He researched the fuck out of it. He wanted to save his fish that was attacked by a bobcat. And it just so happened.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. That's fucking horrible.
It is. And he loves his fishes and turtles, as you know. It's not a joke. Like, he fucking
fucking loves them, dude. It's unbelievable. And God bless him.
So, if you're going to do that, and you might as well film it.
Did
the fish survive?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So he saved the fish.
You got to tune in to find out.
Oh my fucking
I can't wait to see this. Wow. Are you allowed to say when this is coming out? Or
you know what? At this point, it's all about being shopped, and we don't know where it goes from here.
Sure.
So again, I judge Jim on all the things he doesn't release.
Yeah.
Coming full circle.
It may never even come out. Sully might just say, you know what? Today my favorite color is green, and move on.
It's a good point that, in the music industry and on the TV side, there's so many projects that just never see the light of day. The tip of the iceberg is the stuff you see on TV. Everything below the water is the stuff that people put hours and months and years into that never see the light of day. Can you talk, at least generally, about what goes on after you wrap shooting on a project like that? Like, what is the process to try to get anything to be put in front of people?
It's a constant battle with the producer to get time with the manager or the artist. And, I'm lucky if I get into some of those calls, but The producer is really the boots on the ground guy. He's literally waiting. We're giving our assets to the label, and then the producer or myself, we're waiting for those assets to be approved and given back to us so we can share them, you know, because that's the job, right? Like, you do a video, like whatever you did in the last 3 months was nonsense. Putting out that video for that day is how you promote your company or whatever. That's where we're at here. So that's a lot of work. Ben, did I tell you the other day? I told someone the other day, I've been paid to delete a video. Yeah, they paid me $1,000 to fucking make sure I put it in the bin and hit delete. It was a Metal Blade band too. And to be honest,
did you save a copy?
Yeah, but it's not that bad. I'm like, fuck, I can't show anybody this.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh.
I love actually. So Cory and I sometimes we've moonlit in like a wedding like band, like duo, trio, and there's been so many times we've gotten paid to literally just sit there and do nothing. And then Cory gets mad because he holds himself to a high standard because he's like, well, we're being paid a lot of money right now. And I'm like, I'm just playing the same chords. He's like, I know, you've missed every
I don't know. You have severely misunderstood I am happy to get paid to do jack shit.
One of my favorite nights was you, me, and Adam Hanna.
That you refuse to play more than one song for 27 minutes because you don't want to change the chord progression.
Song. I don't want to.
I'm just bored. That's all I'm complaining about.
You're bored about making money?
I'm bored about playing Canon in D for 27 minutes. That's what I'm bored about.
That sounds like my
bro. Have you ever fucking watched the Grateful Dead? They go fucking hour with space just for the drum set.
Sounds awful. I never would.
I'm with Cory. I wouldn't listen to that shit. But part of your problem is even knowing what the fuck Canon in D is. So you're gonna have to, you know,
they don't care, and none of them listen, and you can literally play the same note the whole time, and all they go is, hey, was that the guy earlier giving us hors d'oeuvres? No, that was the guy playing piano. Oh, that's the DJ. They don't even fucking know what I do. Like, nobody remembers that, but they'll remember that I played, like, Cardi B.
The life of a DJ.
Yeah, it's awful. And not to mention you didn't make one of those songs you're playing, but you're taking all the credit. I love that shit.
None. Well, no, when I play piano for people, I literally deliberately tell them I play whatever I want, whenever I want, whatever I want, and no one's ever complained. And if you have a problem with that, don't hire me. And literally no one has, other than Cory, has ever complained.
I've heard Ben say that before, actually.
Sounds about right.
It's true though. The band has never gotten a bad review ever.
True.
Ever.
What's also funny is I've never complained unless I've been with Ben.
Yeah, but here's the thing. But Cory makes money to do literally less. But it's frustrating for him. I used to ask him to come be my assistant, but he's way outgrown that. So he's so happy. But Cory, we get to do an hour in Newport for a cocktail hour. So just so you know, it's gonna be.
When was that wedding booked like 4 years ago? Like,
yeah, I know, because hashtag COVID. The set list is Perfect by Ed Sheeran and Canon in D for an hour.
Good. Sounds great.
And maybe we'll play some Amy Winehouse. What's the name of that stupid song? What's the Amy Winehouse song we play?
Which one do you want it to be?
You guys are way too highbrow for me.
What's the one that we play all the time?
Valerie.
Valerie's the same 3 chords over and over and over. And like, dude, they're beautiful chords, and you can just play them for people. And as long as you just look at them, they're like, oh yeah, this tuna tartare is delicious. And Cory thinks there has to be more to it. And it's like, dude, it's not about us being bored. It's about them not knowing that we're bored.
Hey Ben, can we get back to me?
Yeah,
we do. Oh shit!
Siobhán's like, I'm done.
Siobhán's like, nah, nope, I'm out. Oh man, computer crashed. She's trying to get back on. She'll be back shortly.
So I have a question.
Listen, we do only have Ben. You can go, but we only have about 10 minutes left. So just a heads up.
Well, I was gonna ask Jim an important question. So Jim, so you've obviously been a musician. You've been a producer or director. Like you've worn many hats. what excites you now? Because like I know even at the beginning of the Neurotic Guitarist, we have an excitement for wood, as we've said jokingly, but like we really do. We're excited about guitars, but like even then, like because I feel like we've already done so much with what we're doing that like I'm almost not as excited as I was. How do you stay excited and engaged like when you're doing things at such a high level?
You know this because you do the same thing. It's about the future. Like the thing that makes you get out of bed tomorrow is, oh, I set myself up for some badass yesterday. That's it. That's literally it. Tomorrow is going to be awesome because there's some, like just talking on your level, we're doing a documentary with Les Paul and all these, not with Les Paul, but about Les Paul and some of these incredible things that have unearthed themselves with us. You know, it's effortless, and that's how I know it's right. That's how I know it's, you know, we should be doing.
Well, the first thing is I called you and I felt obligated that we had to do it because just for the sake of history. So like that was really cool because, you know, it's always interesting when you could do something out of a need. And the fact is like we actually encountered some history from Les Paul, and upon talking to the people who kind of were like, you know, the gatekeepers to it, it hadn't been archived and they didn't really fully understand it. And although they had enough knowledge to be dangerous, they were dangerous enough to not necessarily know like what they had. And
but listen, that's the thing. So once you knocked on that door, universally speaking, you can't close that door. So now you got to see it through. That's really exciting. Knowing that, you know, there's a Jimmy Page Les Paul that's going to be, you know, and in the scene, like an actual guitar, Jimmy Page's guitar, little shit like that, like knowing that there's another job coming up in 2 weeks. That's like, it's dope. That's the stuff. That's
knowing there's an Eddie Van Halen guitar waiting for us that has a 26-inch scale that's only 1 inch different than the Buckethead guitar. And you go, Eddie Van Halen played a guitar that big. I have to know.
Well, if you have to know that bad, then that's awesome. You're going to wake up tomorrow hoping to find out, you know, and that's kind of where
Good morning, San Diego. That's where it is. We're going to go see it.
Anyway, Siobhán, we were talking about, you know, I guess what drives you to do the next thing or whatever. And we're just talking about like, it's the future. It's what you set up today so you can have something dope tomorrow to do. That's kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I completely relate to that. I feel
Is that why you use a BlackBerry, Siobhán?
I did once use a BlackBerry, and I'm sorry. Yeah, my computer decided to take a shit and crash completely. So I
thought you were on your BlackBerry trying to Zoom.
Honestly, if I could get a BlackBerry, I would go back and get one. I loved my BlackBerry, but no, to go back to what Jim was saying. Yeah, I feel like that's a huge, even for me, I'm sure you guys all relate to it too. It's, yeah, constantly having that other thing that you're working on that will turn into the next thing. It's like always being a few steps ahead and, you know, having a variety of projects and not ever getting settled in just one thing. That's what drives me for sure. If I get just one thing and that's it, I'm like, oh no.
But it's up to you at this point. You're allowed to say no to the things that aren't going to excite you now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that? No. Are you gonna? No, I'm not gonna.
It's like a beautiful thing. The word
yeah,
no.
really
and then you say yes, and then you're like, wow, the show is #1 in the world. It won an Emmy? Really? Like, and everyone's telling you this. You're like, oh, I just was in somebody's apartment once, like, I don't know, it was just a night. And you're like, oh, but it's Emmy award winning.
Well, one thing I'm thankful for, though, I think I have a pretty good instinct. You know, I get a vibe from people, and if it seems like something that's cool and the person's cool, and I like how they
flying across the country to meet me for the first time without ever seeing me in person.
But that was a choice that I made because I thought you were cool, and I think you're super creative and smart and intelligent, and yeah, same with everybody here.
Go
you know?
on.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but do you know for the rest of your life, though, you will literally be saying, you know, Emmy award winning.
Yeah.
That is a part of your life now.
Yeah.
Like when I worked on that POD satellite record, that was nominated for Grammy. So now I was a Pro Tools editor, but Grammy nominated Pro Tools. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's how this game works, obviously.
But Siobhán has so many accomplishments. She's like, but I was already an equestrian by 7. I was a chess master by 9. I knew 8 languages by 13. Why would I care about that, Jim? An Emmy? That's so pedestrian.
It was about to give a phenomenal piece of advice, and you just polluted that whole thing.
I noted it. I curb stomped it like American History X.
Well, you can go on if you're able to recover from that. I don't even know.
no, but that's, those are the little, to kind of recap, those are the things we go for. I think if you can, I'm not knocking people who work at a bank or whatever, but you can do that. It'd be wonderful. But, or you can wake up, fuck Paul, or you can wake up, and be like, Jesus Christ, how can I get in touch with Axl Rose today? And I want, that's like, it's a mentality, that's it.
Yeah.
Once again, thanks for kind of hanging with us and sharing, your story and what you've been up to. It's fascinating. It's always good to see people, especially, people we know and people from this area that are killing it. So we're going to continue to follow you and see what you're doing. We look forward to seeing the stuff you have coming out. Obviously, keep us informed, and we'll be happy to post and share with our 7 to 9 listeners and viewers. And
Siobhán, you and Brock need to come on the Neurotic Guitarist. Like, that's a thing. So,
yeah,
like,
we're gonna do. Brock would be great. I mean, Brock is a super guitar nerd and gear and everything.
But hold on.
This.
Explain this, because I've tried to explain this. Brock and I together is just a funny thing. Because first off, Brock's like 6'9", and that with his spiky hair, like with his hair all spiked up or whatever, and he's like this really nice Midwestern, even keel, even tempo, very relaxed, and I'm just like, I make coffee nervous, and like. Definitely the first 10 times he met me, he was just like, I don't understand this guy's energy. But like he and I together would be hysterical. And then you and Cindy, I just feel like you're both like, it's just so, it would be hilarious. And then we have to have Anne Marie. Because Anne Marie and Pino, like if Pino's not peeing on the carpet, it's not a show.
Oh God, there always has to be drama. That's for sure. It'd be great.
Anne Marie, you can just say her name.
We look forward
this week
to
with
that.
Anne Marie.
Check out red13studios.com. And Jim, any other places people should find you? Where can they go there to hire you? Any other social media?
Yeah, don't go anywhere to hire me. Don't hire me. Jim
hire your studio. Yeah. And your producers.
Yeah, you can hit up. You can connect with Red 13 if you need a video or you want to record or anything. Honestly, we do marketing bullshit too. It never stops. Yeah, man. That's it.
The neuroticguitarist.com, Jim. We've been working hard on that.
Yeah. Yes, Benny. Back to me. Okay, back to me.
Exactly.
But that is you.
There we go.
All right. Well, once again, appreciate your time. Check out 2020-d.com. If you didn't see part 1 for some reason, I don't know why you're watching part 2, but go back and check out part 1 with Jim Foster. We will see you guys next time.
So anyway, I do my audition with Ozzy. Ozzy comes on the next day. Ozzy comes in. We change studios, and we go to a big studio. It had a massive stage on it. And I did 5 songs, including a guitar solo. And I sit down with them after, and they said, well, Jimmy, here's the deal. It's between you and Zach. And, if they didn't like me, they didn't have to say that. But they said it's between you and Zach. And they took me out to dinner at this really exclusive place. I went back to Ozzy's bungalow. Then Randy Castile took me to the Troubadour. It was just an amazing experience. But then I was on a plane on the plane home the next day, and